how would you evaluate Bryce Young's play? Because I can't describe it without sounding stupid, even to myself.
You're going to tell me it was good.
I feel like outside of the 2 idiot interceptions, which were terrible, it was good. But that's like a pretty big asterisk, right?
See, I think
particularly for a guy that only completed yards for like 146 yards, 20 passes.
I think you need to think of him as QB9 and not Bryce Young. Because if this was Sam Darnold making those throws, you'd be like, Sam Darnold. Of course
they were terrible interceptions, both of them. Like, they were bad.
They were bad.
But outside of it was like he played well and then threw a ridiculous interception, and then played well and then threw a ridiculous interception, and then played well again.
Yeah, I thought he was okay. Even, he was okay, and the interceptions were bad. He was all right. I don't love the situation. Like, I picked Atlanta in part because, DJ Chark was hurt and Adam Thielen's getting older, and I don't love the whole situation with Carolina, right? They had to get rid of DJ Moore to go up and get Bryce Young, and I believe the Panthers' offense is going to take a little bit of time because they just don't have the dynamic playmakers. And Miles Sanders, I think, is just an okay running back. I think everything's just kind of okay there.
The concerns we had in the preseason still exist, right? Like, okay, DJ Chark was hurt and wasn't playing, so that left them with Adam Thielen, who had just come off the injury report, Terrace Marshall, Jonathan Mingo. I mean, those are their top 3 targets in terms of wide receivers. Hayden Hurst actually ended up leading the team in targets and catches and yards in this game at tight end. But, like, none of those guys are going to really move the needle yet. Jonathan Mingo might be the closest to doing it down the road, but I think he's going to take a little bit of time to get going. He just doesn't quite seem on the right page at the moment. So the receiving core was a problem. The pass protection, which in preseason was a disaster, wasn't good. Chandler Zavala, the rookie, pretty much got his ass kicked. Ike Ekwonu was better, but Brady Christensen, this was a problem again.
The tackles graded well, and the 3 interior players. This is what's interesting, right? The 2 guards in the center.
Yeah, and both those
below
interceptions.
Average pass blocking for the guy that's really short.
Both those interceptions. I don't think this is the case, but when you look at the plays, there's 2 large human beings right in his face on both occasions. That can't help. But I think those were the Jesse Bates interceptions were examples of what we were talking about earlier, which is starting to understand what NFL players can do versus what college players can do. The second one in particular, Bryce Young drops back and deliberately looks off the single high free safety, which is Jesse Bates. Like, he drops back, he turns all the way to the left, expecting, I assume, the safety to go with his eyes. Bates never moves, not buying it. I know you're not going there. I'm not even moving in that direction. And then Young just snaps back, fires at the dig that he wants to hit on the backside, and Jesse Bates is like, sweet. Yoink, just jumps in front of it. Like, the first one, I think you can make a case that he never saw him. But the second one, he knew he was there and tried to move him, and Bates just never bit. And that's, again, like, there's a learning curve you're going to have to go through when you understand what NFL defenders are, A, capable of, and B, like, what they know. Because that's a big part of this stuff is you can't fool somebody if they know what you're doing. Like, there's no amount of, faking it if they simply know you're not going to do that and you're going to do something else instead.
That was an interesting part of Bryce Young's game. Those weren't the only 2 passes he threw over the middle. He had some successful ones too. Remember you always reference the Peyton Manning game. He just gets to Denver. It's week 2.
Right.
And he's trying to make these seam passes, and he's got no velocity on the ball. And he throws 3 picks against Atlanta, Monday Night Football, I believe it was. And it was like, oh, Peyton's cooked. He's done. And no, he changed his game, and he made those passes again later that season, but he knew when to attempt them. He knew the spacing. He knew when to try them. And those are the types of things I think Bryce Young is going to have to work with, is when to work the middle of the field, when to confirm where defenders are. And we always talk about Drew Brees and how he overcame his height to be able to see a certain way, the same way Russell Wilson has to roll out of the pocket to see sometimes or whatever. Like, Bryce Young's going to have to learn that, I think, at the NFL level.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a big transition. That being said, when you consider that his receivers aren't good and his offensive line is a problem, and he made those 2 glaring mistakes, outside of that, I think he works well in the pocket. You saw him, manipulate defenders. You saw him manage the pocket. You saw him know when to take off. And generally speaking, his accuracy and stuff was good. I came away out of the game reasonably impressed by him. I just don't think that their offense is going to be good this year.